report. 95 food and energy corporations doubled their profits in 2022, making $306 billion in windfall profits. So that sounds like quite a bit. I wonder what they're going to do with those profits. You think they'll redistribute them to the community? Nah, probably not. In 2022, a staggering 95 food and energy corporations experienced an unprecedented surge in profits, more than doubling their earnings and amassing a whopping $306 billion in windfall profits. This astronomical increase in corporate gains occurred against a backdrop of global economic turmoil and rising living costs for ordinary citizens, i.e., me and you. The food and energy sector saw extraordinary profit growth, with the companies capitalizing on a market volatility and increased demand. Food companies ended up with $70 billion. Energy corporations raked in $237 billion. So some of the types of things that were happening were gouging. Okay, you had a class action lawsuit accused Amazon of hiking prices of essential goods by up to 1,800% during the pandemic. Specific examples included face masks, cold remedies, toilet paper, black beans, flour, and disinfectant wipes. When the shit hits the fan, people reach for the black beans, flour, toilet paper, and disinfectant wipes. Face masks were up to 1,800%. Black beans were up 500%. So if you were paying $1 for a can of beans, you were paying $5 then, because Amazon thought that they could get away with it. Third-party sellers on Amazon, 3M, filed multiple lawsuits against distributors selling 3M branded N95 masks at inflated prices on Amazon's platform. Albertsons, there was another lawsuit filed against the company. Auction sites were getting, according to this, the Texas Attorney General filed a lawsuit to stop price gouging at online auction sites. Vermont had a similar issue where the Attorney General filed a state court action related to the resale of masks to healthcare providers at a price exceeding $400,000. I'm sorry, $4,000. The $400,000 even worse. The Ohio Attorney General announced civil enforcement in Ohio, similar thing. N95 masks were being sold at 1,700% markup. So price gouging, or letting price gouging happen, of course. So how do companies exploit consumers? Well, for one thing, they put less chips in the bag. I noticed that during this period of time during COVID. Inflation. Some of the tactics include price gouging during emergencies, shrinkflation, reducing product size while maintaining price, right? Which is what I just talked about. Drip pricing, adding hidden fees, bait and switch tactics, where they say it's one price, but then when you get up there, it's something different. Creating artificial scarcity, that's another good one that anybody can do in any industry. People who know what they're doing with economics, or industries that get together and have an oligopoly over one industry, can, and it's in their best interest, to use artificial scarcity and just hold on to food and don't let it go. And that can do it. If they let they have food in their warehouse, and if they don't inventory it and send it out, and they can stockpile enough of it, they can adjust the value of those items if you do it on a big enough scale. So, just getting screwed from behind, normal stuff. Forced bundling, confusing pricing structures, loyalty programs that may lead to higher prices, subscription traps. These are all phrases that people should be aware of if they're alive today. These are ways that for-profit companies try to sneak up on you. And they're not always illegal. These practices can be controversial, but they're not illegal. Are they harmful to consumers? Yes. But are they illegal? No. Peak pricing is another one. So you maybe notice some places now have digital pricing displays, right? When you go to Whole Foods or something, it'll have a little digital readout. That's so that they can change the price easily, right? Or they say, oh, it's for convenience. We're going to digitize everything and we can change all the prices from a computer in the back and it'll be just great. Well, what this allows them to do is, in the case of ice cream in the summertime, if it gets go over 97 degrees, they just, make the price of ice cream 100% higher or whatever. This is something that is illegal in most places. But if you give them the chance to do it, they'll do it. They'll fucking do it. So another significant portion of these profits that they raked in this year were paid to shareholders. And that further just makes the concentration of wealth among the super rich. So 257 billion, or 84% of the windfall profits, was paid to rich shareholders. So 84% of their windfall profits was paid out to rich shareholders. So people that own stocks anymore, do you guys know this? Only 90%, or I'm sorry, 90%, only 10% of regular people own stocks. The rest of the 90% is owned by institutions, big players, not even, I think it includes institutions and billionaires make up for about 90% of all stocks. So you don't have a choice. You don't have a chance in hell. You don't have any control over the situation, where that company's going. And even if you own a small amount, it's insignificant. What the rich people that own the stock, they get to make all the decisions. Well, they own the most, they get paid out the most. It's a pyramid scheme where the people on top take care of each other and siphon money out of the pockets of working class people in the government, while simultaneously trying to fucking get out of paying their taxes. So let's see. The Walton family, the owners of Walmart, receive about 8.5 billion in just 1 year. And they don't even do much anymore, I don't think. I think everything is just set. I know that we looked at the yacht from Alice Walton, the niece of the Walmart guy. Obscene amounts of wealth. Obscene, totally obscene, immoral. Just people need a religious awakening to come to the realization that you shouldn't let people abscond with that much wealth in your society. We haven't got to that point yet, but we're slowly getting there. Wealth tax, stuff like this, all good ideas. So during the pandemic lockdown, several corporations experienced significant profit surges, including Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, Tesla, Facebook, Walmart, BP, Shell, Total Energies, and Exxon. While specific profit figures for each company vary, Amazon and Walmart saw substantial gains due to increased e-commerce demand. Of course, everybody was stuck at home and everybody wanted to order shit offline. I was there. What a time. Microsoft also got 15% revenue growth in its productivity segment. So they were already heavily invested into whatever was going to happen online, because everything moved online. So all the tech giants did well. Tesla achieved 5 consecutive profitable quarters, while Facebook generated over $25 billion in fourth quarter revenue. Additionally, 5 major energy companies, including BP, Shell, Total Energies, and Exxon, collectively made $82 billion in profits, reflecting the dramatic shifts in consumer behavior and market conditions during this unprecedented period. This is long-winded. You guys already know what happened. We printed money and we gave it right back to the rich people. They printed us checks for food and for rent, and we cashed them and we spent them and gave them right back to rich people. All money in this system goes back to rich people while they hoard the majority of it, which makes everything more expensive for you and me. So the corporate profiteering has had a global impact on everybody, okay? In Australia, the US, and the UK, excess corporate profits drove at least half of the inflation. I'll say that again. In Australia, the US, the UK, excess corporate profits drove at least half of the inflation. So food inflation reached about 10% in some regions. Over 1.7 billion workers lived in countries where inflation's outpaced wages. So over 820 million people worldwide experienced hunger, and women and girls, who make up nearly 60% of the world's hungry population, were disproportionately affected. Not great. Yeah, stick around. I'm almost done. Billionaires and corporations, they often engage in practices like price gouging, especially during crisis, as we've seen with food and energy. The immense market powers allows them to set artificially high prices, with the top 20 companies marking up prices an average 50%. There's a lack of competition in many sectors where few large companies can dominate. It enables them to squeeze suppliers while charging consumers more. Additionally, the concentration of wealth among billionaires drives up prices for luxury goods, real estate, etc., creating a ripple effect that impacts broader markets. Their outsized influence on economic policy can also lead to inflationary measures as well. Ultimately, the extreme accumulation of wealth at the top contributes to the economic inequality at higher costs across the board for everyday consumers. Pretty clear, guys. So what do I really think? I'll tell you guys what I really think. When I read news like this, I say, fuck me sideways. If this isn't the most grotesque display of corporate avarice since the Marie Antoinette suggested that the peasants eat the cake. In 2022, while the world was still reeling from the goddamn pandemic, 95 food and energy corporations, those parasitic bastards, doubled their profits in a mind-boggling $306 billion. Let that sink in. $306 billion. That's not profit. That's grand larceny on a global scale. These shit-eating vultures swooped in and on a world crisis and picked it clean. Food companies gorged themselves on $70 billion while people queued at food banks. Energy Corporation, those planet raping sociopaths, stuffed their pockets with around $237 billion while families chose between heating and eating. It's not business. It's a fucking crime against humanity. And how did these corporate cocksuckers pull off this heist? By gouging prices during a pandemic, shrinking products while keeping prices high, and nickel-and-diming consumers with hidden fees. It's not innovation. It's daylight robbery with fancy fucking PowerPoint presentations. Meanwhile, the Walton family, those inbred Walmart oligarchs, raked in $8.5 billion. What's that? I mean, if that's not pissing on the graves of the underpaid workers, I don't know what is. This is capitalism in its final, most putrid form. It's creating wealth. No, it's hoarding it. It's not trickling down. It's being sucked up by corporate vampires while 1.7 billion workers watch their wages turn into dust and 820 million people go hungry. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as intended, funneling money from the poor to the rich with a ruthless efficiency. And until we wake up and realize we're being royally fucked by this rigged game, nothing's going to change. It's time to stop pissing about while polite requests for change. We need to tear down this whole rotten edifice, tear it down and build something that doesn't treat human suffering as an acceptable cost of doing business. Because if we don't, these corporate bastards will bleed us dry and call it progress.